the craziness that's happening today in
between Geminis. I mean, well, not between two Geminis, but so what he's talking about, or and he was talking about at the beginning of the show, is that there's been a falling out. There, I mean, we astrologers, and we talked about this on Twitter more so, predicting the falling out between Trump and Elon Musk.
yeah.
Um, we saw it coming. Many thought it would be about now.
Hmm.
Um, and it may be a question of what happens. Now, I won't, yeah. So, but anyway, you were going something else. And it's just
Well,
interesting.
I didn't
When you talk
because
about
I
Tupac, it goes with Biggie, like falling out between
wow.
peers.
Wow,
Yeah,
you really making that
wow.
connection.
Hmm.
But I just want to see what can we expect? Because I written this said the energy for the summer solstice coming in. We got the summer solstice coming in what 2 weeks, the
Hmm.
20th, and what can we expect with that energy coming in, and what can we expect with what's happening?
Well, there's a lot of
What
things
can
that are
we expect for
happening.
the rest of the year?
I mean, there's Jupiter and Cancer. I mean, there's one thing to understand. 2025 was always, I'm going to be corny for a minute, was always going to be where it will take no jive, right? It
Hmm.
was, we talked about this. I mean, some Santa Fe astrologers that I work with, we said, we framed 2024 as a prelude to the storm,
Mm.
meaning 2025 was going to be the storm where more fit hits the shan.
Hmm.
So, and that's because in 2025 alone, we have Pluto having settled into Aquarius. We have Neptune moving into Aries for the first time since the beginning of the Civil War, the American Civil War. We have Saturn moving into Aries for the first time in 30 years. We have Uranus moving into Gemini for the first time in 83 years, 84 years.
Mm.
And let me see. So yeah. And we have Jupiter moving into Cancer.
So when you say the shit is hitting the
I said the
fan, the
fit,
shit.
it's the shan. I was much better with my language. But
No, the
anyway,
shit's hitting the fan.
yeah, my man is like, no, I'm gonna say it out loud. Yes, it is the shit hitting the fan. Um, and so there are big changes afloat.
Yeah.
Now, what does that mean for first I'm gonna talk about for black people. And then what does that mean related, for the broader spectrum of the world? For us, I think we are generally going to fare better because this is stuff we've seen before.
Right.
We've been through, you know, the the assault and slings and arrows of outrageous fortune that happens with governments before. Now, how we choose to prepare, getting our passports in order, looking at aspects of citizenship, having more um, readiness related to whether economic, social, financial disaster, or even natural disaster.
Mm.
These are all elements that we should be of the mindset to deal with.
Hmm.
White people are freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
They're freaking the fuck out because they've not, the broader parameters of what has happened to us is now happening to many of them.
Hmm.
And they're like, well, I thought he was going to help us, meaning Trump.
Yeah.
And
Well, good
it's
luck
like,
with that.
and that wasn't going to happen.
Right.
Now, in the more the immediate sense related to Musk and Trump, they're both hucksters. Many people,
Yeah.
even some black people are under the illusion that Husk, I said it right. Elon Musk is brilliant. He's not. That
No,
whole push to Mars is a scam. Um, he didn't develop Tesla. He bought Tesla.
he ball tested, right?
he's kind of been blowing up more spaceships. No one's going to Mars during our lifetime.
Hmm.
But that's like a pipe dream. And he's about to discover it's even more of a pipe dream if his funding gets cut, which is likely to happen.
Yeah.
I was just talking today with another astrologer, and we believe, you know, Musk is going to be okay financially, but he is going to suffer some blowback, and it could lead to his exile. Shortly after that, we got news that Steve Bannon, who still is advising
Oh,
Trump,
yeah.
is
Yeah.
talking about deporting Musk, which may be possible.
Hmm.
Kind of citing him and investigating him as an illegal immigrant and then
Yeah.
pushing him out the country. So, I mean, that is something that can happen.
Yeah.
So I do think, in some measure of that, as Jupiter's going to Cancer, Musk is a Cancer rising with a sun in Cancer. I believe his moon is in Virgo. And so, yeah, DCL is like, oh my God, let him not have a moon in Virgo. Why is he another Cancer with a moon in Virgo? Am I going to be rich too? No, maybe
I
not.
was
Same with,
thinking,
but you know, it, his wealth. It's interesting. We could talk about how his wealth has accrued. Related to his Mercury. I'll say this: he has Sirius rising and Sirius, which is the dog star, which was the most holiest of stars for the Kemetic people, for the Egyptians.
Yeah.
Um, and interestingly enough, the U.S. has its sun conjoined to Sirius. So it bodes a level of auspiciousness to have planets connected to Sirius when you have it connected to what we call the Behenian stars. Trump has like his rising sign hooked to the royal star Regulus, which gives him some measure of prominence, and has. Because I mean, I remember in 2016 when he ran the first time, and looking at that royal star rising in his chart, I was like, guys, asking the astrologers, are we sure he's not going to win? And they talked me off the ledge.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, this time, when he was running for 2024, looking at his chart, but looking more so at the U.S., not even the U.S. chart, something we call the ingress chart. I said to my students, and I'll tell you why I kept it just to my students and a very small group of people. I knew Kamala wasn't going to win.
Hmm.
I said, I'm like, she's not going to win. And that Trump was going to have his point of ascendancy. And some people have asked me, well, why didn't you make it public? And this short answer is, I know I'm a very prominent astrologer. I didn't want to be the black guy saying that the first black woman running for president wasn't going to win. I just didn't want to be that guy.
you definitely would have caught some shade.
Right. It wasn't personal. I wasn't, I mean, it was just looking at the astrology, and I was just like, nah. So I just kept it tight. And even when my students are like, nah, come on, Sam, but like, nah, that's not what's going to happen. And election night, I was looking at it like everybody else, and I was like, well, there it is. I mean, and I told people, I'm like, you're going to know election night. That's how decisive it's going to be. So, and that's more the fit hitting in the sand. And people are asking me, like, well, what's going to happen with Elon? Is it, just a show? No. We saw this. And people, if they pay, the thing to pay attention to astrology is not just astrology, but omens. When that guy in January, I think just before the inauguration, blew up the Tesla and his own life in front of the Trump Hotel, that was an omen.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
That was an omen. And that's what we said. Astrologers said, like, oh, that's an omen. That's what's happening. Not just what's happening with the country, but something's going to happen between those two. And
Yeah.
it's just come to fruition.
Yeah. Okay.
So he might
Yo,
get Elon might get booted out of the country,
well, I
but
mean,
he's gonna be okay. I mean, I don't care really, but I mean, he's gonna be okay.
neither. I mean, not as much as how it is going to affect us as collectively as a people, but I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Uh, he is, and as Trump, well, basically just about everyone who's part of his advisory team, all of them are shysters. All of them are there uh, to
There's
scam
something
the people.
you remember the Peter Principle. Do you remember the Peter Principle, Malik?
No, I don't.
It's from the 70s and 80s. People rise to their level of incompetence is the Peter Principle. And so, people were concerned, like, when Hexeth and all these people got in, and she looks like Cruella
Oh,
de Vil.
you was mentioning about this on another show that you did
Yeah.
a few months ago.
And I was rooting for all of them because I'm like, that's a good way to get rid of you all. You know, Tulsi Gabbard. I was like, okay, yeah, okay, go Tulsi, and go Hexeth, and because you're gonna rise to your level. This is what Trump does. He gets people to rise to their level of incompetence, giving them positions for which they are not qualified, and then they fuck up, and then he boots them, and then they fall off the earth to some degree.
Yeah.
He did it with John Bolton. He did it, with Rex
Giuliani.
Tillerson. He did, and Giuliani.
Yeah. Yeah. Rex
Like,
Tillerson. I mean, I don't even know what happened to Rex Tillerson. Oh, gosh.
exactly. So I'm just like, I get them all.
Yeah.
And poor, little Marco Rubio. I'm like, get him too. You left your Senate position. Bye. I don't think. You might have presidential aspirations, but you're not coming back.
No,
you've already
you forget about that. Yeah,
right.
people forget about that.
So yeah. Anyway, I mean,
that's to be that accurate and to be able to articulate what's happening step by step and seeing it unfold right before our eyes, man. And you all are using the chart to do that. Again, that just provides some validation to the accuracy of reading people's charts and being able to pinpoint what's happening collectively as an individual or collectively as a people. What is there anything else that we need in our community that we need to be prepared for?
War.
Say that again.
War.
One more time.
War.
Okay.
Everywhere there's war. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Now, at what level are we talking about war? World War, conflict, what?
The United States has never not been at war when Uranus is in Gemini.
Oh my goodness.
It's never not been at war.
Okay.
And it happens every 83 years. So first time was the Revolutionary War. Next time was the Civil War. Last time was World War II. So the United States is likely to be at war. Now, you can ask, is it going to be a civil war? I'm not sure. My thought is it may be dual-pronged, maybe initially with some measure of an inner conflict that has to be quickly resolved or muted for an outer conflict. Because what has happened, and this is something I predicted 15, 20 years ago, and I won't go into how. I can do that next time you have me. But there's been a tectonic shift in who has political power because there's a precedent for it. The last time Uranus was in Taurus going into Gemini 83 years ago. And the tectonic shift was more so between Western Europe, or we could say more the continent related to Britain and France and Spain. And then what was the ascendancy of the Pacific. And specifically Japan, which had an empire, felt some measure of their lifeblood was squeezed by the growing and nascent power of America, the United
Yes.
States.
Yes.
Now,
They were cutting them off economically. Yeah.
yes, and the United States was not even half of the economic and military power that it is now. So they knew it could become more of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Germany felt similarly, as it had been throttled from France, from the Allies before that. And we're not including Russia as part of the Allied forces because it wasn't in that game, but it was mainly France, United States, and
Mm-hmm.
Britain.
Britain.
And
Right.
so some measure of a tectonic shift happened. Now we're dealing with another tectonic shift that has been building, BRICS, in terms of Brazil,
Yeah.
Russia, India,
Russia,
China,
India, China,
and South
South
Africa.
America, South Africa. Yeah.
So there's been some measure of tectonic shift that's been brewing in terms of what's happening. And Uranus and Gemini is more the earthquake. Tectonic shifts is like where you feel it subtly and it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
movement.
Mm-hmm.
And then now this is the earthquake. And what that signifies is that I think a moment where the United States, as we've known it, is, the American century is coming to an abrupt end.
Yeah.